And Tal, we are now hearing out of Syria that these chemical weapons inspectors have been able to get to the site where the alleged chemical attack took place by Assad regime forces.
Right. It is the second time, Kalev, that the OPCW team of inspectors was able to get inside Duma and take samples over there. According to their statement from today, these samples will be moved, transferred to special laboratories designated for the OPCW mission, and that is where they will check them. But it's important to mention that the only mission of the OPCW is to determine whether or not there has been a chemical attack in Duma, and they're not set to set the blame on someone, if you will, the Assad regime. Another important thing to mention here is that the White Helmets said a week ago that they gave them the exact information about the whereabouts of the burial site of bodies in the aftermath of the suspected chemical weapons attack. So it is a question, whether or not they were able to get to this place. And Russian diplomats said today that tomorrow there is a meeting of the OPCW, and they will take 15 Syrian civilians to this meeting to debrief member states. And these Syrian civilians apparently, allegedly, appear in staged videos from the suspected chemical attack. They call it staged, of course, according to the Russian narrative.
We're talking about a chemical attack now, but certainly there have been a long series of attacks that the so-called international community have failed to stop, and the so-called international community is meeting today in Brussels. It is the second and final day of a major 85-nation summit. Here is Foreign Affairs Chief Federica Mogherini on the prospects of a political solution.
The opposition with whom we have been working in these years is today more united and ready to sit for negotiating. We believe that the only sustainable peace for Syria will be linked to a political process on the UN auspices. And as I said several times, the three guarantors of Astana have a special responsibility in this context to guarantee that the ceasefires and the de-escalation zones happen.
Tal, we've heard those kinds of statements. We just heard again and again. And in this case, even the number, even the dollar sign they managed to raise is falling short.
Right. This conference in Brussels is aimed at fundraising for Syria. And according to the UN humanitarian chief, he expects that countries will raise about $4.4 billion. But this amount, it might sound a lot, Nurit, but first, it won't address every humanitarian need right now in Syria. And also, it falls short of the amount that the United Nations were expecting to raise, and that is a bit more than $7 billion. So many questions to be asked over there. The UN humanitarian chief, by the way, he mainly thanked the European Union, Germany, and the United Kingdom for their contributions. Nurit.
Okay, Tal Heinrich there in New York. Thanks for joining us.